Hey guys, it's Todd, Mark, and Ricky from Like Minded Lunatics, bringing you, it's another drink, play, swear. Hey, it's almost all we do around here. I mean, besides like making terrible mistakes behind the wheel, it's all we've ever really done. Round here, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Drink, Play, Swear, and welcome back to Like Minded Lunatics. You know what we do here at Like Minded Lunatics, but please, before we get into that, hit that subscribe button, bang, so you can see, sure, whichever direction it is, fellas, so we can see how big this family of like-minded weirdos, degenerates, ne'er-do-wells, runaways, and bums is getting. We're glad you're here, excited by that. And Mark, you got all kinds of stuff, great Friday night videos. If you could show a link to them, bang, sure, that would be wonderful, so that we can spread the love and make this family bigger. All right, what is it that we do around here? Well, it's pretty basic, and it's exactly what it sounds like. At Drink, Play, Swear, we play a game, usually a classic one, pair it with beverages, and we tell stories. We tend to run our mouths a little bit, right? And when we do it in the group setting, it's fun because we, I don't know, have like extra beverages and extra storytelling, which is so fun. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm good, man.
Good. How you doing, Ricky?
Groovy.
Beautiful. All right, Mark, can you acclimate us to what this game is? Because I usually drive when it comes to picking games.
Yeah.
Today you're driving. Tell us the game.
So I chose Forza Horizons, which is a racing game, but one that takes place off the track. And so this one is in a pseudo South America, so they make up like regions to resemble actual regions. This is like a pseudo South America, and you can drive all around the little continent and do races all around. And I thought we would do, because I mentioned I would tell us a story about driving, I thought we would do an off-road race using a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, because that's where my story takes place. But typically, Todd, I either drive A, Wrangler Rubicon, or B, 1977 Trans Am.
No big deal.
No big deal, the Bandit version, but today I'm going to start us off by using this this Wrangler.
All right, so you get us started in the game, Mark. That would be epic if you did. I'm just going to share what I'm drinking here today. I already opened it. It's an Austin East Cider Mango Mimosa.
Those are delicious.
Light cider. I love it. It's crisp and delicious. Ricky, what are you drinking?
Devil's Backbone.
It's nice.
I already missed a checkpoint, fellas.
Okay.
Sorry, I was thinking about my beer.
Rewind.
Had to rewind the damn thing.
See, I don't believe in the rewind feature.
Oh, you don't?
No.
All right, well, should we make a rule, no rewinding?
No, there's no rule. It's just you're respected less.
Okay, so here's the tip. You're supposed to follow like the blue line that's in front of you.
Oh, I see.
And when the blue line goes like yellow and red, that means slow down.
It means take it easy, Chief.
But you have to go through the checkpoints or you foul out. Look at this jump.
And Mark's playing right now, so I'm just going to show off his beer. It's a Kolsch, a delightful German-style beer.
Independence Brewing down on 71.
Geisterzug. Am I saying that correctly?
Is that... I feel like that's my nickname. Never mind. Continue, Todd.
So the idea today, because tonight's episode on Austin Music TV is all about driving and all about our love for the road, that we are going to tell driving stories.
I love it because I have so many stories about me driving irresponsibly. So many, both sober and completely drunk. But let me be clear here. Most of the drunk ones take place in fields in the middle of Central Texas where no one is in danger other than myself.
Other than your dumbass.
Or cattle.
Sure.
So maybe some barbed wire fences.
And those cattle are very strong. You could probably hit a lot of them with a car.
I've hit many cows with many vehicles and they're all fine.
Wouldn't do much.
No.
It's like the Far Side comic. Here comes Mark. Let's get out of the way.
That's right.
All right, so since you're playing right now.
Well,
quote playing.
Ostensibly, yeah.
Can I tell my quick story before you get started?
Do it. I may have to pass off because I didn't realize this track was quite as long as it is.
That's all right. You're making some progress. When you said you wanted to tell a story about driving, I was immediately reminded of my dad. And I usually tell stories about myself primarily.
Yeah.
And I try to leave other people out because I don't want to embarrass them. But Dad's dead, so, you know, there's no one to be embarrassed about it. I will say that my dad was particularly adversarial with police officers.
Oh.
And when we watched that Sammy Hagar video a few minutes ago, I got to thinking about how Dad was super aggressive with the police. got a lot of speeding tickets in his life. And this one time, my dad was fairly reserved. You knew my dad well.
Yeah.
Fairly reserved, and he was, he was a military man. He was a kind but stern man. But he did have a rebellious streak, and one of those was with the police. And so this one time, he got pulled over and was given a speeding ticket for not driving 55 when he should have been. And I guess he'd received so many tickets. Did you fail? What happened?
No, I passed. I don't know what.
Oh,
12!
Hey, that's a good place to start.
Fucking embarrassing.
We can only go up from there. Ricky, you want to jump in?
Sure.
All right, so I'll restart it for you. Yeah, restart the race.
Anyway, Dad had to go to court. He had to sit in front of a judge because he got so many speeding tickets.
Oh my
Like
God.
his license was in danger. And his favorite story to tell was that he went before the judge, and the judge asked for his driver's license and took it from him and threw it in his robe and said, "Mr. Raymond, you are never getting this back again." And my dad said, "Judge, I want you to understand something. If you look out your window here, you're going to see a parking lot and you're going to see my car. And when I get done in here, I'm going to get in that car and I'm going to drive off.
Yeah.
And that's just what's going to happen.
Oh, my
So you can
gosh.
give me whatever fee or fine you want."
I will not be abiding by it.
And judge's like, "You may not, take the bus or something." Boy, he was real mad. My dad got in his car and drove off that day. 2 weeks later, got his license back in the mail, unmarked envelope.
Hysterical.
And that was he won. You know what I mean? That was a
Sure.
moment in life he won.
Yeah.
He loved to tell it. What do you got for us in terms of driving today?
So I grew up in the middle of Central Texas, in between Waco and Whitney, and on a huge 1,100-acre farm. And I've had a Wrangler since around '96 or so. So it was the vehicle I drove the most. And as folks who live out in the middle of nowhere know, mudding is one of the best all-time pastimes when you're in the middle of the country.
You got a four-wheel drive. Let's get in some mud.
Get a cooler of beer,
Yep.
a field of mud, and a great Saturday.
Yeah.
And so we're out mudding, and we've been drinking quite a bit.
Sure.
A substantial amount.
Oh, you got to get 4 or 5 deep before you even get in the car, don't you?
You slam 2 before you even get behind the wheel.
Sure.
And again, I'm not being irresponsible. We're on my dad's farm. There's nobody in danger other than me and my vehicle.
Even if you roll the thing.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so in the field we're in slants down towards the Brazos.
Okay.
And right before the Brazos, there's a little retention pond.
I
shaped
love
like a-
that you say Brazos. by
because
the
that's
way.
its goddamn name.
I understand.
So it's a
Brazos.
it's a horseshoe pond,
Okay.
and there's a rivulet that runs the entire length of the field and
Okay.
dumps into this pond.
Okay.
All right. So at the front of it, there's a ditch. We're
Yeah.
jumping it.
Okay.
Right? So it's probably 4 foot high. I'm in my Wrangler.
Yep.
Listening to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Jumping the ditch.
I can't drive.
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
sorry.
So I stopped to smoke a cigarette. My friend Sean is jumping through the ditch.
Marlboro Red.
Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
And my friend Jason and I, who Jason is with me, we know Sean's going to wreck. Terrible driver.
Yeah.
So we're watching him, and then Sammy Hagar's I Can't Drive 55 comes on. And I think, you know what, I'm going to show Sean how a real jump goes. So instead of jumping the little bit up here in the ditch, I decided to jump the berm that's at the end of the retention pond that's about 7 feet tall.
Because you want some air.
I want some air.
Yeah.
And so I back the Jeep up as far as it will go next to a barbed wire fence, and I tell Jason, hang on. And he goes, what do you mean hang on? And I didn't answer. I just dumped the clutch and took off.
Yeah.
And I don't know how fast we were going, Todd, when we hit the berm.
Sure.
I do know I was in third gear. And we fucking sailed.
Yeah.
When I say sailed, I mean,
Did you do the yeehaw?
I didn't have time. Jason was screaming, what are you doing, dude?
Cut to that moment in Ferris Bueller. That's
And we
what
I
just
know.
sailing, and we hit. And the reason I did it was because I knew that retention pond was only about 2 to 3 feet deep.
Sure.
Because Dad had dug it for the cows.
I see.
What I didn't anticipate was the bottom of it was like cake batter, but instead of flour, it was cow shit. And so when I hit, I had all 4 wheels wound out, and we just started sinking into cow shit.
Ugh.
And it stopped sinking when there was water on our shins.
Ugh.
And so I had to go and walk up to the house and tell Dad what I'd done.
Yep.
Dad thought it was hysterical.
Wasn't that the worst? I mean, I'm glad he thought it was hysterical, but wasn't it the worst having to having to confess stuff like that to your parents.
Yeah.
I still like, I'm sad about my parents being gone, but the one comfort I have in them being gone is I don't have to tell them shit
You don't
anymore.
have to tell them your
I don't
mess
have to
ups.
tell, you know what I mean?
You have to admit to it.
No.
So I tell Dad what I'd done, and y'all bailed out of the track. Now you're just driving. So we had to drive back down there, and to even get the chain hooked up to the frame,
Yeah.
I had to go underwater,
Dig
in shitty, pissy water, and dig into the cow shit and get it hooked up.
the cow cake batter.
And we eventually got it pulled out with a tractor.
Oh my.
Oh, I'm just spinning around. This is
It's
great.
awesome.
I completely blame Sammy Hagar. Because if that riff, boom, boom, hadn't come on, I wouldn't have acted crazy.
No, you were a reasonable, kind man, young man, weren't you?
Let's not overstate
Until Sammy Hagar's poisonous ideas
Right, yeah.
made you a wild monster.
1 foot on the brake, 1 on the gas. Hey!
Ricky, you got any like memories of?
I do have a little quick one I can tell you. I remember going with my mom to the DMV just to inquire about getting a hardship license. I was 15.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd been driving in the oil fields and stuff because that's where my dad worked. And they were like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you qualified. You want to take the test now? I was like, well, okay. So I did the written test. It was easy. I passed it.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, great. And the officer was like, okay, let's go do the driving test. Like, we just went to ask. I was like, well, okay.
Right.
So I'm driving. I know how to drive and doing everything. It's good. And he's like, okay, parallel park between these two cones.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, what?
What does that
He's
mean?
like, parallel park. You park between these cones. I was like, okay. And the officers all holding it.
Freaking out.
And I finished, and I remember him looking at me, and he's like, everything's great. Your parallel parking is awful. You need to practice. And I thought, practice parallel parking? He was like, whatever. So that's my story.
Now,
I'll never forget him saying parallel park. And for a minute, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? I was like, what?
So when I took my test, Rick, I was supposed to use my grandma's Datsun to make the parallel parking easier. And she had one of those little tiny Datsuns.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to take it in West. And the day that I was supposed to take it, she had to stay at work. And so I couldn't use it. And so I had to use a 3/4 ton four-wheel drive Chevrolet with an extended cab and long wheelbase.
oh no.
I was like, are you kidding me? I had this car that was roughly 8 feet long. Now I've got a boat that I've got to parallel park.
And did you do it?
I did it. But it
Oh,
was,
there you go.
You took care of it,
the
didn't you?
entire time I was, on edge.
So, have you gotten better as a parallel parker?
Yeah, but the problem now is like my wife's car.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. It's like you go and it's all. It's got the cameras and everything, and that's what my daughter used. Like it's got the cameras. It's cheating.
Right, it is cheating. I am such a proud parallel parker that to this day I will still send photos to my wife.
Jump that shit in the pond.
Whoa!
Get in the pond, Todd.
You're like, look how close I got.
Come on!
1 foot on the brake. There you go.
Get on that water. I love it. Look at that. But to this day, yeah, I'll send and she's like, babe, I don't care.
Yeah. It's like what are
I
you
love you, but I don't care. I'm like, no, but I wouldn't even using the thing. Like I wasn't using the camera. Got in there just
So you got an album on your phone that says Parallel Park.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Look at that, hon. Look.
All
What a
right.
great game, though, right?
Really fun game. I was terrible at it,
That's
but
all right.
I want to get some more practice doing it. Thank you guys for joining me for some stories about driving. You maybe forget that around here at Drink Play Swear we finish our beverages at the end. Hey,
It's your segment.
in between now and the next time we talk to you, we're Todd, Mark, we're Rick. Oh, see ya.